everybody, and welcome to the Municipal Planning Commission meeting for June 6, 2024. I'll call the meeting to order now. The first thing we do is we have a prayer and then a pledge. So if you will, stand with us. I'll lead us in a prayer, and then Amy's going to lead us in the pledge to the flag. Bow with me, please. Father in heaven, we just come to you today, Lord. We just thank you once again for letting us call Smyrna, Tennessee our home, Father. Lord, we have so many things to be thankful for and grateful for, and so many times in this world people look for so much negativity. Father, we just ask that you continue to show your light to us. Forgive us where we fail you. Let us do your work. Let us continue to do this city's work with discernment and to make sure we do things that are best suited for our citizens. Go with us now as we deliberate. Continue to watch over all of our special services and our employees that can protect our town. Forgive us where we fail you. It's these things we pray in your name. Amen.
Please face the flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Amy. First on our agenda, we've got citizens' comments to see if we have people that want to speak. I will say, before we get started on this, there was notification today. I think some of you are probably in the audience today to listen to or hear more about or discuss the property that's called Queencliff. That got deferred this afternoon. So if you still want to speak, you're more than welcome to speak. But just know that that engineer has decided to defer it. They're looking at ways to try to probably improve that. Maybe it'll make everybody a little bit happier, I hope. That's what we're hoping it is. So at this time, we will ask for citizen comments. If you do want to speak, you're free to. You have 3 minutes. So when you come up, Catherine over there, she's a warrior, and she'll clock you. No. So you have 3 minutes to speak, and we'll take anybody that wants to speak right now. If you want to go first. As you approach the podium, please leave your name and address with us so we can put that on record.
Good evening. My name is Tommy Dang, and I live at 3464 Gamble Lane. And I have three things I wanted to address. Number one is when they build next to me, on the property next to me, they meet codes with the setback of 15 feet. Stormwater. I know that in the backyard of my yard is real low, so when they build that much houses there, it's gonna be, all that water is coming onto my land. Like right now, both sides of the neighbors, the water is coming to my backyard right now. So that's something to address. And then they're building a road straight directly to my house. I mean, I don't mind, but if they can prevent it, put up a privacy fence so that it just don't go directly to my house, it could be a hazard, Who knows, somebody drive or something like that, and who knows? It could just ram straight into my house, who knows? And I put out a lot of money just to build my house way deeper in, like 150 feet, so that I can get some privacy. But of course, Smyrna's growing, I understand. And that's it. I mean, that's it. Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Day. We appreciate your comments. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
Dr. Tony Majors, 5402 Stonewood Drive.
I think I spoke with you today, didn't I?
I believe you did.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Well, I actually want to still speak, even though I do appreciate the commission pulling the Queenscliff annexation from tonight's agenda. I do want you to hear from me and other citizens residents in Stonewood about our concerns. First of all, Queenscliff Court is actually at the corner of Stonewood Drive, which is actually where I live. My driveway and one neighbor on the other side of Queencliff, our driveways are 30 feet from that stop sign. With the proposed annexation that also would have an access street to the Linwood subdivision, you're talking about over 700 vehicles using Queenscliff Drive that was never designed to accommodate two-way traffic, nor is the turn adequate enough to accommodate the cars turning on and off of Queencliff, nor would construction vehicles be able to make that turn without turning into oncoming traffic, exiting Queencliff, or crossing the median and driving through our yards, turning onto the Queencliff Drive to access the new construction area. All those are real concerns. The other thing I'd like to point out is the Queencliff Court was never intended to be a connector or a through street. It is called Queenscliff Court. Therefore, I don't see how the commission can consider annexing the Queen Cliff Court Street as an access road to a new subdivision that is also not bound by the bylaws of the Stonewood subdivision's HOA. Our community is a very vibrant community. Our citizens and our residents are actually very active. You will see children out riding their bikes. You will see neighbors out walking consistently. The number of cars that would be driving down Stonewood Drive trying to access Almoville Road would make those activities completely impossible in our community. We do not have sidewalks. The streets are not wide enough, so you would actually be infringing upon the quality of life of the residents who currently live in Stonewood subdivision. I'd like to point out something that came before this commission in 2016, as reported in the Daily News Journal regarding the Linwood subdivision. In the article that came out, it was actually stated that there would be no street connection on Woodcliff and Stonewood Drives, both of which are in Stonewood subdivision. In addition, there would be a 50-foot setback or buffer between any new construction surrounding Stonewood subdivision. In the lease, we would ask for the same consideration regarding the Queenscliff Court annexation. I'd also like for this committee to take into consideration the rights of the existing residents of Stonewood subdivision. We should have the right to live the quality of life that we have and we have established without the loss and decrease in property values, nor should we be subject to change our quality of life for potential residents when we've been taxpaying citizens for quite a long time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Major. We appreciate your comments. And I'll touch on that real quickly in case there's anybody else that wants to speak. Speaking a little bit off and on with planning and engineers and all that that's going on right now, I think, Mr. Major, your concerns are well heard. I know we've heard from a lot of the citizens in here. I'm sorry if I did not respond to your email, but I got to a lot of you. Some of you are here, and I recognize talking to Mr. Majors today. I think the effort from the developer is looking at trying to mirror exactly what you said on the west side with Linwood. I think that's the effort. So I don't want to get too far ahead of them, and I don't want to speak for them because they have a right to present and do and let us deliberate on that. But I think that's part of the spirit of what's going on right now. So I'm hoping that's kind of what we see. All right. Anybody else want to speak?
Good evening, Josh Lucas, 5302.
I'm sorry I didn't email you, Josh. I almost got to you today.
Well, here I am. I know, as you mentioned, this is being deferred for another month, but that does nothing to my worry. My worry is there for another month. So I felt it's kind of prudent just to address my concerns in a verbal manner and take every avenue that I can to address
Sure.
My concerns as well as most of Stonewood. Obviously, as most of Stonewood has expressed in opposition to the connecting, I likewise share that same position. And as mentioned previously, there's been an agreement with the other two connectors where there was a workaround. I feel like there should be a valid reason, a valid way to also have that for this new proposed connection. You know, these developers come and go, right? They don't care about Smyrna, Tennessee. I've watched many of town councils, and it's baffling some of the things that these developers will come in. And I know there's no stopping the development. That's not my goal, but it's the whole connection. You know, these developers aren't coming to Liberty Drive or Rimrock Road or Newburgh Court or Sugar Creek Lane, just to name a few. But this will be happening to members of our community. And as Mr. Majors mentioned, it's going to impact our quality of life. As you know, and there's no denying, in our area as it is, it's exploding. Our tranquility that we've known for 15 plus years in that development is getting intruded on, and we're just asking for a little help on avoiding that connector. I think that would give us a little bit, put us at ease just a little bit. I understand the concern of maybe the safety of one entry, one exit. Stonewood's been that way since the development, and I know there's a lot of probably opinions on the matter. But I suffice to say, I'd like to see some facts to actually support the need to have multiple entrances and exits. And if there is a valid need, then that, in my opinion, should fall on the developer, not on the Stonewood community as it is. I wanted to highlight just one thing, the timing of the camera install. I don't know if anybody on the town council is aware of the camera that was put up for a day or so, conveniently right after, a week after school let out. I will note that it's not going to capture an accurate picture of the traffic we encounter every day right there on Almoville Road. I did note on the plat, if it goes through as is, there's potentially two entry exits already for the new development, and that's through Briley Downs and what appears to be Section 2 on the new plat. I don't know if that's accurate, but by the map I was looking at. At the end of the day, I hope the single entry exit is not legitimate, and if it portrays to be where there's going to be connecting to our neighborhood, that the developer will come up with an alternative solution so we're not impacted. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to your support.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. Appreciate your comments. Any others? Name and address, please.
Sure. Charmely Data, 5336 Stonewood. I have the luxury of not being on the corner, but one house removed from the corner of Queenstown Court, or Queenscliff Court. So again, echoing a lot of what my neighbors are saying, but the other part of this is we are seeing, obviously, Smyrna's growing. Everyone's seen it. Everyone's looking forward to it because this is how communities develop. We bring more resources. We keep people in our communities. But at the same time as we support that, those of us who live here have to be able to commute to our jobs, to the places we need to go. We need the infrastructure for our schools and our children. Those are a lot of the things that drew us here in the first place. So in a lot of the reviews and the minutes that we've seen, a lot of these properties and developments that are occurring and being proposed are being evaluated as a case-by-case basis. In this particular development, they're asking for 300 units, not really speaking to the fact that there's almost 2,500 already approved units between 102 and Rocky Fork in that corner area. There hasn't been a lot of comment that we've seen in the minutes or the notes that address the fact of these arterial roads are going to now get that traffic. And so as a long-term resident and an intent to stay in the area, we would probably need to see some of how we're intending to address those things as the Planning Commission goes forward and keeps approving folks to evaluate and build, because we're making these promises, letting developers think that they can do these things without putting these contingencies in place for those of us who are already there. I'd also like to record, obviously, that I love my neighborhood. I've been there for a couple of years now. We moved intentionally. It's a dark neighborhood. It's really peaceful. The fireflies come out at night. We have a lot of yard space. The kids, I send my children down the street and don't worry about it because they're going to their friends' houses. And we'd like an opportunity to preserve that and to show them in a very sort of old school way what it feels like to live in a safe community that hopefully they will bring their families to when they grow up and come home. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your comments. Yes, sir. Come forward. Name and address. I think I know who you are.
Robert Miller, 1215 Ledbury Drive. I spoke back at the August and October Planning Commissions regarding the development at the end of Ledbury Drive. And at the time, there was an agreement that there was going to be a 40-foot green space buffer zone of the old existing trees. There was a 30-acre plot of woods, and they were going to keep 40 feet of trees between my property line and with the new development. I came home yesterday, and the trees were completely destroyed right up to my property line. So I'd like to know what changed, or what the planning committee is planning on doing, as far as trying to make it right. I would like to keep the idea of having a green space for that full 40 feet, and hopefully replanted with mature trees and grasses. But I'm interested in hearing what the council or the committee has to say on this.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. There was some news on that a little bit earlier today. Kevin, I'll let you speak to that because we were just made aware of that this afternoon ourselves. Planning was, and that's being addressed. There's going to have to be a remedy, I promise you, because that approval required it. So, Kevin, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, we have reached out to the contractor. We have not had luck yet to actually talk with them. We'd have reached out to them. They made a big mistake. They bulldozed a whole area that they weren't supposed to and took down a whole area of vegetation they were supposed to leave alone. And so they will have to replace that. and it is my intent that they replace it with more than what we would typically start with on a buffer. A new development that maybe has a buffer strip would be go back and replace it with larger, more mature trees. We'll have to look at that. They may have to do a berm or something else in addition to just the normal landscaping to replace that and go back to replace what they've torn down, which they should have left alone. It was on the drawings to leave it alone. It was on the grading plans to leave it alone. I don't-
Somebody messed up.
Somebody messed up.
So,
Yeah.
to your point, Mr. Miller, we did talk about this just a little bit before the meeting. I inquired with Kevin and Mitch right there, and we had a little discussion about what happened today. I expressed to Kevin, we need to make sure that is remedied with one of our best situations. We call them berms and planting and so forth. They're classified. We have classifications of different levels of landscape berming and protecting, and we've had that discussion. So they will have that same discussion with the contractor over there. Something will be done because that's how it was approved. Somebody just went and messed up today, so. All right. Is that all?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
did they do the whole buffer or just adjacent
They
to the
were,
gentleman's
from what I
house?
understand, they were beginning to work down the tree line a little bit today.
I have pictures if you like.
Well, we're going to let you give that to
we-
planning because they're going to have to address that anyway.
Yeah, we do have pictures, and someone from Public Works went out there and took some pictures. We've got documentation of pictures we've taken as well. It's like they went down that entire property line. It's what it looks like.
What was approved will have to be replaced.
Right.
So, yes. All right. We're going to move on if there's nobody else. Everybody good? All right, we sure do appreciate your comments. I do want to, Mr. Lucas, thank you for getting up and speaking. We hear you, and as I said at the beginning of the meeting, there's work being done right now to try to remedy most, if as many as can possibly be done to make the residents of Stonewood feel a lot more comfortable than what you saw submitted. Okay, and we're going to go from there. Sir, if you're going to speak, you have to come up here and give your name and address. Sorry about that.
That's okay, I wasn't gonna say nothing, but my name's Tommy Campbell. I've been a resident of Smyrna for
Yes, sir.
30 years. I live in Stonewood. Of course, everybody in Stonewood's gonna be against this. My biggest question, because I really don't know, since we're in the county and it's a city thing, so will like the fire and police and everything access our roads to and not service us, but go through our roads to service the roads in Linwood?
Well, if things work out the way I think, you're not going to have that as a concern.
Okay.
Just let me say that. I'm one person. There's a
And
council and a.
I'm sorry for not, I know y'all are our voice,
Yeah.
and we're counting on y'all.
But you're right, you are a county resident, so you're not in our city limits, therefore
Right.
we don't govern Stonewood. And so
Right, so are
you're,
our voices even
well,
like heard?
we're listening. I think you'll see that they have been.
No, I mean, I know that you typically are. I just
Yeah.
didn't know. I mean, we're
Yeah.
county and
Yeah,
all
we're
of them
doing.
are in the city. and
There's
they're gonna be in the
communication
city.
going on right now, I can tell you, that sounds positive, but I'm going to leave it there because
And
that's
I
not
had-
been settled
I
out.
had one more question because
Sure.
I just don't know.
Okay.
And this is the place to find out.
Yes, sir.
So if it does get approved, so what would we have to do if we wanted to do a gated community where we just own our own streets and all that? And then we could shut that down
I don't
for
believe
sure.
Stonewood has an HOA, do you?
We do
A
have
small
HOA.
one?
Well,
Well,
I mean, we got
That
a HOA.
that would be, since they are not governed, they're not in the town of Smyrna,
County.
they would have to go to the county. The
Yeah.
county would have to approve.
We just have to come before y'all to try to close our neighborhood off.
No, you go to the county
You go
government.
to the county.
Okay.
You go to the
Okay.
Rutherford
Because we're
County
in the
Commission.
county,
Yeah.
not the
Yeah,
city.
Yeah, you would have to talk to Rutherford County about taking over the streets. Because they're public streets now, they're county
I
roads.
was just saying,
Yeah.
if this was to get passed through that, then we would try to do that to stop, whatever, just, we don't want to just see all this traffic and all the depreciation of our home values. They built a little bitty house on a postage stamp right beside us, 50 feet. That's the size of this room.
Mr. Campbell, were you here when Linwood came in?
I was.
Okay, so you saw how
16.
we worked that
Y'all did a
one.
wonderful job for us.
And we're trying to do the same thing now.
Y'all did a
Yeah.
wonderful job.
So-
I was here through all that, and the whole time, even up to like last week, we were told continuously by everybody, they're not gonna access y'all. They're leaving y'all alone. There's newspaper articles, there's everything about, hey, we're not gonna touch y'all. And then, we're in the county, so we don't get the notifications of these meetings.
Sure.
Just somebody accidentally heard about it, and told
Well,
us.
your voices are getting to be heard tonight, and when it comes in again, you'll have another opportunity. I think.
But we don't get the notification since we're not in the city limits, like,
Well, but you can do what you did tonight, just like some of the group did to
yeah,
get
we're
on the
paying
agenda to
attention
speak.
now, because, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it affects our values,
Yeah.
you know, so.
So-
And I'm not
No, no, no,
being mad
we-
at y'all, y'all are our voice.
We appreciate the spirit of what we're trying to do, and
Yeah.
I'll say this, from talking to some people, I appreciate the spirit of the developer willing to listen.
We just like
So-
our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And our
Everybody
values,
does.
our values are gonna get murdered if they cut through.
Yeah, we understand.
Thank you.
Well, there goes your 3 minutes, your toast, your toast is ready. I appreciate all the comments tonight. We're going to move on with our agenda. So if you were here for Queen Cliff, and you're welcome to stay. This is government. It's not always fun, but you're welcome to stay and listen. We're going to try to move through it in quick order, but you do not have to feel like you have to stay, and there's the door if you ever want to leave, okay? So you're welcome to stay with us. Next on our agenda, we're past look at them all go. Mr. Miller, you can go too. All right, thank you all. All right, next on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from our May 2nd, 2024 meeting. Council, are they in order?
They're in order, Chairman.
So we need a motion to approve them.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion from Amy
I will second.
and a second from Miranda. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. We'll move on to the old business. Rezoning request number 1, Janet Ibrahim Nassef, Rocky Fork Road, and a rezoning request from R3 to a PRD. Kevin, we talked about this one just a little bit, if you want to fill in the commission.
Yeah, this is a rezoning request on Rocky Fork Road. It's R3. They want a PRD with 5 duplexes, 10 units. We still have several comments that haven't been addressed. We have not received any revised drawings, and some of these things are pretty important, such as their architectural elevations and some landscape plans, utility plans. We don't need the full engineering details, but we need to know where the utilities are coming from and tying into and those kind of things, what their plans are for that. And so this is really an incomplete application. I don't feel comfortable recommending this to you. So my recommendation at this time would either defer another month to give them another opportunity, or to recommend denial to town council at this time.
Well, we'll let the council deliberate that real quick, and anybody have a preference of what you'd like to see done with this based on staff comments? It sounds like we'd be a little more comfortable waiting to review this, so we can have a motion for 1, a deferral, or 2, a denial or a withdrawal. Council?
I recommend to deny.
Okay, so we have well, that was quick. I love when people respond. Okay. So we have a recommendation from Selena to deny. Is there a second for that? Second from Amy. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion's been denied. Oh, look at us, we're moving now. New business, annexation, zoning, and plan of service. Item number 1, Hardik Patel, Almoville Road, the annexation and a C2 zoning request. Kevin?
Yeah, this is an annexation request along Almoville Road. It's a vacant tract of land. It's not addressed currently. It's about 8.87 of an acre. Currently zoned RM in Rutherford County, and has been requested to be zoned, annexed into Smyrna and Zone C2. The surrounding zoning in town is essentially what's across the street there, which is C2. It is RM in Rutherford County, those adjoining tracts on all the other 3 sides. Land use plan would support a medium-density, single-family residential development in this area. Major thoroughfare plan does designate State Route 102 or Almoville Road as a minor arterial, and there is adequate right-of-way there for this street. Sewer is not currently available at this location. The nearest one is located rear of the vacant property addressed at 1996 Almoville Road. So the developer would be required to obtain easements and to reach that location to extend sewer. There's an area, and it's kind of it's a little bit of an odd situation. There's an area, it's highlighted on the map, kind of in that yellow hatched area. It is a public right-of-way. It is not maintained by Rutherford County. I did talk with the road superintendent, Mr. Brooks, and they do not maintain that. It is not in their road book as a city or county road. It would meet our standards as a public street. It was actually dedicated to the state when this development was approved by the Rutherford County back, the plat was recorded in March of '98, so it's been there since then. Any development of this property, especially as a commercial property, would require them to upgrade that because it's not adequate for commercial or road standards at this time. So that's really a long explanation. That's really going to require them to improve that road in order to develop this as a commercial tract. This property does lie entirely within the 100-year floodplain, so they would have to go through all the works through with FEMA for hydraulic and hydrologic study and all that to comply with all of our floodplain requirements. And then the required minimum fire flow is really going to be determined by the proposed use, as we don't know the proposed use at this time. It is just a C2.
It's just a proposal, but not an intended use.
There's not a
has been given.
specific intended use at this time. That's correct. So they did request the C2 zoning. The minimum for a commercial building would be 1,500 gallons per minute at 20 PSI, but it could be more depending on the actual use of the building, the size of it, and type of construction and other factors. CUD to look at it, and they say they can meet 1,000 gallons per minute. They did say they could meet 1,500, so they would have, but it is a 12-inch water main, so they probably are okay, but we don't know that for sure. I guess that's all that I have at this time. Again, I think from a zoning standpoint, it is consistent with what's in town. There is a house next door in the county, but it actually has a commercial business in addition to the house. Then you have the gas station at the corner, and then the other corner is our county EMS building. So there are some non-residential uses in this area in addition to the residential that's as you go down 1 mile lane. So
You had mentioned that this is vacant property. I do see a building.
there is a building on that. It's vacant from the standpoint there's not a house on it. There is a building in the back. I don't know if that's
It's not
tied to the house
habitated,
next
yeah.
door. It's like a garage or carport type building.
And
That entire area, if I recall, is floodplain, is it not?
This entire tract of land is in the
Yeah.
100-year floodplain, yes.
And being the new guy here, is it consistent to approve single small properties like this through annexation? And I ask because you guys have been here longer, but
Well, I'll let them answer
Yeah.
that. They'll give you the polished answer.
Yeah, we can only annex properties where the owner has requested the annexation. We can't, so like we couldn't say maybe those 4 tracts there that might make sense to look at all together. In addition, or the 4 additional tracts would be 5 total as you go over towards 1 mile lane, say, or something like that. We can't annex those unless the owners consent it. So you end up having 1 track or 2 tracks, maybe if 2 owners come in together sometimes. So you end up with odd-looking town limit lines sometimes because of that. But we cannot annex anything that is not requested by the owner. So it's not an issue to annex this area by itself. No, that's not an issue at all to do that.
Because I'm still learning, so sorry. Since he doesn't have a specific use for this C2, what could that be then?
Sure. Yeah, C2 is it's a fairly wide open commercial district. Pretty much anything you could think of from a retail standpoint, or offices,
Restaurants, gas
restaurants,
stations.
gasoline stations, convenience stores. It would not allow for any type of automobile sales or repair, or any kind of like industrial uses, storage, mini storage, or anything like that. But pretty much anything else you can think of from a commercial standpoint, commercial office, retail type use could go there.
More questions? In the past, I feel like we've tried to always get an idea. A C2 is a pretty wide zone. Sometimes, usually when people come in for a request, they kind of know what they're going to do there. In your opinion as staff, though, you've got residential, some C2 off in the distance. Do you have a recommendation as staff how you feel about that? about the zoning request or current zoning request?
Yeah, I'm okay with the zoning request because you do, everything within the town there is commercially, and you do have, there's a vacant tract to the east. You have a house that's also used, at least in some manner, as a commercial use directly to the west. And then you have the county EMS building at the corner. So from a zoning standpoint, I'm okay. I think the lot's deep enough. You can have enough buffering there for the properties to the south and that sort of thing. My main concerns are really more, would be probably the same concerns if this were to develop in the county, which is the floodplain issue and figuring that piece out, since it is entirely in the floodplain. It's gonna have to be a pretty extensive design put together to balance, cut and balance and with fill and that sort of thing, because you're gonna have to elevate the building out of the floodplain, all that kind of stuff, to keep from, negatively impacting anybody upstream or downstream.
FEMA will be all over that.
Yeah, and we have, as FEMA expects us to be the first line there to review it as well, so from our staffing, so.
So you mentioned your concern would be if they leave it in the county, it could be a different beast altogether.
Well, it would, I think they have the same FEMA rules as we
Yeah.
do, from that regard. But yeah, as far as the
Having
county
more
would-
control over it as a city municipality.
we would have no say in what goes there if they request to go to the county to request a rezoning.
Yeah.
I think they want to tie on to our sewer system is primarily why they requested annexation.
They'd have to deal with all the water,
Sure.
and they'd have to deal with it through FEMA.
Right.
All right, questions for Kevin or staff on this, or comments?
Kind of sounds like we're better off as a city to have some control if we put it in the city.
I think that was his comment.
That's kind of what you're talking about.
Any others? Hearing none. Need a motion of some kind.
I move to approve with staff comments.
So we have a motion to approve from Amy
I'll second.
to include staff comments, and Miranda seconded that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item on the agenda has been deferred. Do we need to take action
We
on that?
will need to take action
Okay.
to formally defer it
Right,
to
okay.
the next meeting.
So I need a motion on Queen Cliff deferral.
Motion to defer, are we talking about 30 days? to our next
We have
meeting?
one until the July meeting.
So we have a motion from Amy for that,
Second?
second from Matt. Any other comments or questions?
Just the timing on that, that would put it right before July 4th, right?
It'd be next meeting, I think.
It would be, the next meeting will be on the 2nd of July, because the first Thursday is the 4th of July.
Yeah, I'm just wondering from a public participation
Good
standpoint,
point.
if we
Oh, that's good.
shouldn't go for 60-day deferral or something.
28 days-ish.
Yeah. The request was for 1 month, but it's up to you all, I guess, what you want to do.
You can say to the next.
Well,
the
I would
next
say
meeting.
defer to
Yeah.
the next meeting instead of 30 days. That covers it.
That's
You
what I
want to
said.
amend that?
I did say that.
Okay. And you
Yeah,
want to
I
second it?
think I think his concern is,
I was
should we
gonna go
go to
60
August,
days.
because
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah.
Two meetings.
Well, I'd like to leave it at 30 and then let them decide again if they want to
can always
defer it.
defer
Yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah.
I'll second.
Second? Everybody good?
We have a second already from Matthew. Yeah.
Motion from Amy, second from Miranda.
We actually have.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Matthew, actually.
Matthew, yes, thank you. Are we good? You got everything, Catherine?
We need a vote.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries to defer. Moving on to rezoning requests. The next one is Kyle Griffin, 8286 Rocky Fork, Almoville Road, rezoning from R3 to PRD.
Yes, this is a rezoning request for properties that are already within the town limits. It's about 3.53 acres, currently zoned R3, requested a PRD. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R3 and PRD in town, which is Cedar Hills and Stewart's Glen PRDs. And then also there's a property that is zoned PUD, which is the Blakeney Commons PUD, which is actually some of that commercial part of that PUD at the corner of Morton Lane and Rocky Fork Allenville Road. The land use plan would support medium density, single family residential in this area. No roads are shown on the major thoroughfare plan will be affected with this request. This requested PRD is for 7 single-family lots. The required fire flow is 1,000 gallons per minute, 20 PSI, assuming the building square footage does not exceed 3,600 under roof. We had a few other comments. One, and most of these have been addressed. One regarding the mail kiosk, we just made a note to them that they may not have to have one because typically it's 8 lots or more. U.S. Postal Service did say they need one, so they will have to put one. So they had one shown already, but they will need that. There was an existing tank and field lines for the existing house that's on the property. That has been shown now to be abandoned. That existing house is going to remain as one of those 7 lots, and so they would be tying on to public sewer. We asked for 911 approval of the road name. They have submitted that, and then they did show us a sidewalk at the end of the roadway, and they are on the roads themselves, internal road, but they did show it stubbing into that property to the north. That is actually just kind of the hillside that's part of the Cedar Hills HOA's owned public area there, and so that didn't. There's really no reason to have that stub street or stubs sidewalk there because there's nothing to get to, I guess, or in that adjoining parcel. So they did remove that. So comments 6 through 9 can all be removed. And they do have a CUD will serve letter, and they can meet the fire flow requirements there. So again, this is there is one existing house on the property, so that would remain, and then you would have 6 new lots. So 7 total on the 3.53 acres, which is right at 2 per acre. So for density purposes. So and they did send some revisions in that since the packets went out, that do have some increased requirements not requirements from the town, requirements they are putting on themselves for the development with regards to the homes. And so that is, I do want to point that out just because that's different from what you all would have seen on the plans that you were put in your packet and everything last week. Let me get to that so I can give you the right percentages. All 4 sides are going to have a minimum of 75% brick or stone, with the remaining 25% being brick, stone, or some form of
Accent.
masonry or siding type material. So those will be for the 6 new homes. Obviously, the existing home's going to remain as is, but so that's just something that's a little bit increased from what you typically see. I just wanted to point that out. That is something they're putting on there.
So
Again, it wasn't in
75%
your-
brick,
75% brick.
all 4 sides,
On
or
all 4
75%
sides.
brick?
75% brick
Did
or
you-
stone.
Did you say a square footage minimum?
There was they did have that, and, yeah, 2,400 to 3,600 square feet.
Oh, so they're going to be pretty nice homes.
Yeah.
That is Stewart's Glen that surrounds it, am I correct? Is that a 55-plus community right there?
I believe the townhomes within that are the 55 plus. I don't
Okay.
think the single family is, if my memory is correct.
Okay. I don't think there's any townhomes there.
Stewart's Glen, the frontage, along Rocky Fork Allenville Road, and then,
I think that's all villas there.
well, the cul-de-sac area, those are all single family. But along Rocky Fork Allenville Road and that area directly,
And they're already there.
they're already there. They're under,
Yeah.
they're being built as
Okay.
we speak, yeah. Those are townhomes, and they are the 55 and up restriction on those.
Any questions for Kevin, staff? Comments?
This Yvonne Decker, is she the one selling this? Is this her plot that is being developed? Because there's 3 homes, well, really 4. The existing home was already there, but, so we're backing up 3 homes. I don't know what that setback is. into
She is
the
not
Deckers
the
backyard?
developer, no.
Okay.
For the house remaining on lot 7 is the developer there. And they do have, it's 15 feet is what they're showing on that rear setback there.
I haven't been out to see this one, so is there any is there any type of privacy for that homeowner that you're aware of? Is there any type of?
There's no, I'm not aware of it, there's nothing shown there. There's something we could look at. It's single family to single family.
Right.
From the standpoint of like a landscape buffer, you typically wouldn't, but, I mean, and I don't know if there's any type of existing fencing there or not, I don't know that either.
But along those lines, there's a very mature tree canopy there. As the developer indicated, they're gonna try to maintain that tree canopy as it abuts the other property.
They have not indicated, I don't think, anything about that. I mean, the majority of the grading is just gonna be for within the roadway itself. I think it doesn't look like there's a tremendous amount of grading, at least not shown on this preliminary plan anyway, of the lots themselves, which would tend to mean you could potentially preserve some of the trees, because you don't have to do a lot of grading to get building pads and that sort of thing. I might defer to the developer or to their engineer, maybe could speak to that a little bit better than I could.
President, you want to come and speak about that? Name and address, please.
Kyle Griffin, 2305 Klein Avenue, engineer of record for this property. I just wanted to point out a couple things. You all mentioned the grading. Currently, the plan is to cut in the roads and let the builders clear the trees that they need to build the home. So it's not a clear cut, clear across the property. It's just
Lot
cut in
by
the
lot.
road.
Lot by lot.
Yeah, lot by lot, at the builder's discretion, whatever they need to put the home in. And the topo is not too bad. It's just kind of gradual, so they can do some custom foundations and preserve a lot of those trees.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Griffith while we have him?
Kyle, I like this. I would like to try to help people have a little bit of privacy that have the existing residents.
I think we could
Just to
probably
be a good
supplement.
neighbor.
I think we could probably supplement with either some type of evergreen along that property line or a 3-rail fence or a combination of the two. I think we'd be happy to do that.
Does that resolve your concern?
Yeah.
You can make that part of a motion if you decide to make a motion, so,
Thank you.
thank you, sir. Any other questions? I know these people extremely well, and I've worked with them in the past. I am not involved in this one, but for those reasons, I think I'm just going to stay neutral on this, and I'm not involved in it at all, but I just don't want any kind of form of conflict to face me in this because I know them, so, and have helped them with other properties, so. Anybody want to make any kind of motion?
I make a motion to approve with staff comments and also with some type of buffer for that resident.
To the Decker property.
I'll second.
Have a second? Yep. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries without me.
Okay, 501.
Next, we have Eduardo Moreno, 11514 Old Nashville Highway. The rezoning is R2 to P&O 2 request. P&O 2 request. Kevin.
Yeah, this is a rezoning request on Old Nashville Highway. Get to my comment list here. It's about 3,200 of an acre, currently zoned R2. Surrounding zoning is R2 and then C2 across the street. The land use plan again here is medium density single family. The major thoroughfare plan does designate Old Nashville Highway as a minor arterial, and there is adequate right of way there for that street. There is an existing house on this property. The intended use is for the existing house to be used as an office. So if this is approved, site plan would have to be submitted, showing meeting all our requirements, as well as conversion of that single-family residence to a commercial use would require submittal of building plans, meeting all the applicable commercial building and fire codes. So, that's just kind of an informational comment for the applicant as well and for everyone. So, this is an existing a residential neighborhood. This is the only tract that we've had, on at least once you get past Davis Park Drive on this side of the road, that has been requested until you get closer to Pioneer Drive. So there's a pretty long stretch there of all residential zoning on this side of Old Nashville Highway. Those were all developed when Old Nashville Highway was a 2-lane road. Now it's a 5-lane road. So there is some changes there in regards to the, obviously the context of where the house is sitting, but that is the situation. P&O 2 is a very light commercial zoning. It is, as P&O is professional and office. I mean, so it's pretty much, it's a medical office, medical, insurance, real estate, attorney, that type of an office. It does allow for financial, like, you know, a bank could go there or something like that. Professional and office, yeah.
I've got, maybe some others would have. I know we did this on Enon Springs Road many years ago. And we also did it across from the Omni Hut, as I recall, on those homes that faced the highway. None of that ever really panned out to turn into that zoning hotbed where everybody wanted to do that kind of business. Some even came back and changed it back to residential. Am I right about that?
I think we have, within the area across from Omni Hut, yes, we've had a couple there that have gone back to residential. Off kind of where what was a Kroger and now other things, and that shopping area and all that. I don't think we've had anything on Enon Springs across the Walmart and all that area. Is all still, that has that zoning, but really none of them have used it.
It's P&O zoning,
It's
though.
P&O,
Yeah.
and I think maybe one or two
Tried a little something.
maybe even did a C4 in a couple of places, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's not, it's all still residential use, so. And obviously as a residence, if it is rezoned, it could continue as a residence as well, you know, here. But if it ever gets converted to a commercial or an office use, it would have to remain an office use at that point.
Would staff be okay with it, or would they prefer to see neighbors as well? In other words, that highway front, should that be consistent, or are you okay with one at a time? Or?
I mean, I think my preference would be to have maybe all the neighbors, if they all want to do this, it would make more sense from that standpoint. At the same time,
He's on a 5-lane highway.
he's on a 5-lane
Yeah.
highway, you know,
Yeah.
and it's, as a residence, it's, you know, when it was built, you know, it was a 2-lane road, and now it's a 5-lane road with sidewalks and curbs, and it's a much different situation. You got the commercial across the street now that wasn't there when the house was built. I mean, so the context is very different, and so I understand why you would want to consider using.
And it's not a commercial use.
Yeah.
What about parking, ingress, egress, all that with the P&O?
That would have to be something we look at with a site plan.
Okay,
And
if
they
you
would
ever
have to
turned
get-
it into a business.
They would have to, you know, upgrade the entrance. It's kind of a gravel driveway now, so they have to upgrade all that to meet all those requirements. Add parking, buffering the residences around it. I mean, all those things. would
I
have
think
to
I know
come
the
into
answer to
play.
this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. It could not be a daycare, could it? P&O?
I don't think so. To be honest with you, I have to, we have such little
That's
land
why I
as
said I
part
think
of
I know
this
the
zone.
answer.
I don't think it is.
The only reason I asked that, that's a lot of moving cars in and out of that highway.
Right.
They'd have to do turnarounds or something on the
They-
property.
Yeah, if they, we would want, no matter what the use is, we would want to have the ability at least for somebody.
Turn
they
around
could-
and face out.
They could pull out and not back out, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Okay.
No matter what the use is.
As a part of the Davis Park Estates, I imagine that's the larger development it was a part of. Do they have an existing HOA or anything like that to consider?
I don't think so. It is an older development, so I don't know if there even was an HOA when it was established, because that's been there 40 plus, maybe approaching 50 years now. You do have, I know the apartments on the other side of Davis Park Drive, I think all that was kind of developed together. I think even some of those commercial lots may have been a part of the Davis Park development when it came in. So I'm not aware of an HOA there. I don't think they have any common areas.
I don't think there is one there.
There is a
Yeah.
small area of an open space that the city actually owns in the very back part, closer to the creek.
If I'm not mistaken, those are 1980 builds.
That's why I was thinking 70s or 80s, something
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
Okay, any other questions for staff?
Well, this would certainly be the first domino. So I think the issue for us is, are we comfortable with the level of protection of the single-family homes to the northwest? And I guess they'd have to do a type C landscape buffer and all of those sorts of things.
Site plan regulated.
Yeah, they would have to bring in a site plan, they'd have to meet all our parking requirements, buffering, all those things. Mr. Beach pulled up the zoning ordinance on his laptop. A daycare would be allowed as a BZA review in that zone.
You have to go to BZA first. Okay.
It's interesting. I mean, it's like you go in and say this is the end of the life of this neighborhood, right? We're going to change it to something else. So to pick one off like that seems a little uneasy to me.
That's one reason I asked the question about if you had 2 or 3 neighbors that wanted to do the same thing,
Yeah,
you know.
it's a ripple effect.
It just adds a little more validity to not having the single office there. But we have seen this work one at a time before. Once one comes in, then you see another one come in and another
Yeah,
one come in.
if they're successful,
Yeah.
you know.
But I will say too, and I'm not pro or for or against this, we're having conversation, but, and I appreciate what you said about the neighbors, because fencing or berming or something, if they did open a business there, would have to be looked at. Quite honestly, they're still facing a lot of cars per day right in their front door, so. Any other questions or comments?
What would be the process of seeing if others, as you said, you'd like to see if the others were interested? What is that process?
I think they have to come in and
They would
request
have
it.
to, yeah, they would have to come in. They would have to individually,
just one at a time.
would have to
Yeah.
look at doing that, yeah.
And sometimes when people see one come in, they think, heck, I should have done that. I want to get in on it too. And then it begins to grow legs. That happened over there where the Crystal is now, and there's a salon and all that stuff along through there. A lot of that used to, it
Yeah,
started out with P&O.
that's one where
Yeah.
it actually, for the most part, has been developed now into some other uses that weren't
Right.
residential. And then we had this on Almoville Road, past the interstate, across from the industrial park in that area, that existing residential neighborhood. You kind of dominoed one at a time, requested to be annexed in Zone C2, and now that entire area has been Zone C2 and has started to develop with C2 there.
And did there have to be a sign that said they have requested a
Yeah, we
zone?
put
They
signs,
already out.
and we did put a sign up and sent letters.
Okay.
No
All of
response.
your requests tonight, signs were put in place and letters were sent to surrounding property
But you haven't heard
owners.
from anybody.
I don't think we've heard from anybody on this one.
And to the point, I don't know how many of those, but probably many of those are rental properties, right?
I believe
So-
this believe this may be currently a residential
Right.
rental.
Yeah.
It appeared to
So-
be empty when I was there to put the sign up, but. so.
And they're not gonna be there forever, so they just don't buy into having a call or, you know,
Right.
whatever, so. All right. bantered that around a little bit. We can do some more. Is there any questions or comments for staff? Hearing none, I need a motion of some kind to work with.
A motion to approve with staff comments.
Have one motion to approve with staff comments. Do we have a second? Trying to get it on the floor, aren't you? No second. It failed. Does that fail due to the lack of a second?
I think so.
Okay. So that motion will be denied due to the lack of the second. Right.
Well, we still need an affirmative.
We
We
have
need
to-
another
we have to-
motion of some kind.
We have to have a motion to deny, yeah.
Deny or defer.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to deny based on, maintaining character of the remaining district.
All right. Do we have a second for that?
A second.
Have a second. We got there. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay. We have one one deny, one no.
One no to the
Yeah.
denial, yes.
Right. And that motion is denied. We good?
We're good.
All right. Start throwing me curveballs over there. All right, number 3, Rob Mulchin, Gamble Lane, rezoning from R1 to PRD request.
Yeah, this is a rezoning request for 6.78 acres. It's on Gamble Lane. Current zoning is R1, had been requested to be rezoned to a PRD. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R1 and R3. Land use plan, this is in our 24 gateway character area. Kind of support a mix of uses and services, local and regional in scale, such as hospitality, retail, restaurant, and multifamily are appropriate in these areas. The major thoroughfare plan does designate Gamble Lane as a collector, and that required right-of-way is shown of 30 feet from the center line. It is shown on these plans. The major thoroughfare plan also shows a new collector street through this property to the adjoining property to the south, and eventually to connect over to Seven Oaks Boulevard to provide a connection between Gamble Lane and Seven Oaks Boulevard as this area develops. This requested PRD, it was for 24 lots. It is now 22. What is in front of you is 22 lots. And the minimum fire flow is 1,000 gallons per minute. And again, it would increase if the houses get up to 3,600 square feet. And I think there was a comment about 1,500 gallons per minute. That's with regards to an adjoining development, actually, that ended up not coming to you tonight. It's maybe coming back later. So we can probably disregard the last sentence of that comment. Then the comment number 6, we asked them to show that collector street through their property to connect to the south. They have shown that now. It would connect from Gamble Lane where there's an existing street across Gamble Lane there. We'll connect from that point through the project. And that's the reason why the number of lots went down from 24 to 22 with that road extension. So that would stub into the adjoining property to the south there. And we did, number 7 was kind of just a comment. I think there was some concern about the need for potentially for a pump station of some kind. And our utilities department did say that all lots must have the gravity sewer service. That was really kind of an informational comment for the engineer and the developer there. So, so the map that's in the PowerPoint there that's on the screen is not completely up to date. Again, the road does now go through all the way to the property to the south. It is, other than that, it's essentially the same. Trying to get to the part about the homes. These are minimum of 1,700 square feet homes here. Kind of a mix of the brick, stone, hardy siding. There's not a percentage called out, just that they would be those materials with a kind of a water table at the bottom of brick. But as far as the setbacks and everything are consistent with what we typically require in PRDs. We did have the citizen speak and ask earlier, was regarding this project, regarding the setbacks, the 15-foot setbacks, which he is in an R1 zone, so it was what was required for him. And they do have the roadway, kind of the cul-de-sac shown, that would be coming towards his, the side of his house. And so, and it will be kind of on either end of that cul-de-sac. So it might be something that we want to think about as some fencing or buffering there as people drive down the street on either end. They're going to be in the side or rear of some other existing homes there. So that might be a appropriate thing to Mr. Dang spoke about earlier, yes. And so, the detention, he is concerned, I did raise a concern about stormwater. I do just, in general, just address that. We don't have the design yet, other than the detention ponds are shown, at least conceptually, on the east side of the property. I do think that is the natural terrain that does flow west to east. So they would have to meet all of our stormwater requirements, certainly, if this is approved. At this time, we don't have those calculations and those type of things. That comes with the subdivision plat. But just to address what some of his concerns he mentioned.
Is this the same site that had a townhome request on it a while back?
They never formally requested townhomes to you all. It never came to you all. I did meet with them, and there was consideration for doing townhomes or a mix
Maybe
of
I saw
townhomes and
preliminary
single
on it
family.
or something.
Yeah. It never has come to the planning commission with anything. This is the first time before you.
It's probably one of those many calls I had from somebody that says, hey, can you take a look at this for us?
And you had, excuse me, you'd said that Mr. Dang's R1 was a 15-foot setback. What's the PRD setback here for properties 1, 5?
Yeah, the side setbacks are 7.5, which he's got 2 lots that would be abutting him, 5, and proposes lots 5 and 6.
5 and 6.
So that they would be 7.5, and then
What-
20
and-
foot on the back and 35 on the front.
And just for some of us are newer, R1 is the default that everything comes in at when it's taken into the town. Some of this is what that is. It's just it's a default
it was
zoning
annexed.
until it improves.
Right.
You said there's now 22 instead of 24
Yes.
homes, so.
Yeah. There's a book in front of you there. It's on page, let me see what the layout's on, what page it is. Yeah, page 8 of that booklet there shows the new layout. Again, it's very similar to what's on the screen there. It just has that road. It's a little bit wider right away because it has a collector 60 feet instead of 50 on the right of way. And then it does connect in there on the south side.
And for Mr. Day's, just for Mr. Day's knowledge, I guess, you mentioned stormwater. TDEC will require that they cannot dump water on you. That's a regulation. So if they improve it, they will not be able to load water onto your property. That'll be governed by TDEC. And sometimes, I don't know, I can't speak to your case, but sometimes it'll improve your flow because you have detention and stuff built in, so, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he's on the west side, so I do think it would kind of be geared towards the other direction, actually, where those ponds are.
You may have some low areas that's ponding, and that's not anybody dumping on you. That's just low areas, but. Any questions or comments for staff on this?
Is the developer here on this one?
Name and address, Matt.
Matt Taylor of SEC, 850 Middle Tennessee Boulevard, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And I asked my client after Mr. Day spoke, and we're more than happy to add a fence along the sides of Lot 5 and 6 there for that buffering that he asked for. More than happy to do that. And I looked at the other side because it's kind of the same situation, but I think that already has a fence along their rear property line.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
You read my mind.
They listen.
I'll let-
Mr. Dang, I think did you have a question? I thought
Well, I'll
I'm
have
sorry.
to recognize him. I just want to make sure.
I will say on the stormwater, Mr. Dane's water will flow onto us, and so we'll have to accept it, and so we will definitely not be pushing water toward him.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Mr. Day, I can call on you and recognize you if you do want to approach and ask another question. I don't mind, but our decorum is that people can't just get up and speak, so, yeah. Are you okay? Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
make a motion to approve. the
A
staff
motion
comments.
from Selena to approve.
And are we adding the
with
fencing
fence.
along,
With the fencing.
Yes.
along the west side of lots 5 and 6?
That's in the record now, okay? And do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Amy. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Good questions. All right, moving on to preliminary plats. First one we have is the courtyards at Stewart Creek, Restoration Drive. Owner developer is Epcon Stewart's Creek LLC.
This is the third and final phase of Stewart's Creek, the preliminary plat, courtyards of Stewart's Creek, rather. It is in there, that PRD. It's 7.02 acres, 37 lots. We had several comments, most of which are standard comments that would need to remain. Certainly comments 1 and 2 that we'll have to resubmit for a new grading permit. Again, no roads on the thoroughfare plan are affected, and then signage, requiring permits, and then the fire flow requirements are standard fire flow requirements. Number 7 and 8, those are construction plans and roadway lighting plan that typically comes in with the construction plans as well. They still need to submit those, so comments 1 through 8, all those would need to remain. Comment number 9, there are some critical lots in this development, so we'd ask them to, it was shown on one lot, one of the pages, but not all of them, so we just asked them to show on all of them, and that has been done, so we can remove comment 9. And then comment 10 and 11 would remain. Those are just coming from CUD, and they're kind of some standard CUD comments that they'll need to work through with CUD on the water service there. So with those remaining comments, staff would recommend approval of this plat.
Okay, you've heard from staff with a recommendation. Any comments or questions on this preliminary? That's all 55 plus, isn't it?
It is.
The whole
yes.
thing.
The entire development is 55.
I actually got a piece of mail about that the other day, and it looks like it's going to be pretty awesome. Pretty neat amenities and things that they're starting to market it a little bit, and I'm excited about this 55
You don't qualify,
plus.
do you?
I qualify. I probably just can't afford it. I'm just kidding. Charles, you can be excused. All right, thank you, Charles. That was fun. Any comments or questions? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve with staff comments.
Second.
Motion is second from Miranda and Charles. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That one carries. Going on to final plats. Gwynn Farms Phase 3, Section 2, Linness Drive. Owner developer is Lennar Homes of Tennessee. Kevin?
Yeah, this is the final plat for Gwynn Farms, Phase 3, Section 2. It's 34 lots, 15.49 acres in the Gwynn Farms PRD. We had just a few remaining comments there, really all pretty standard comments. So 1 through 4 would need to remain. We did ask for some additional dimensions on a couple. There's some of those irregular drainage easements on a couple of lots. That has been addressed, so we can remove comment number 5. So this one it's consistent with the approved PRD and the approved preliminary plat. And so with those remaining 4 comments, staff would recommend approval.
Comments or questions? This is a final plat. Obviously, this subdivision was approved a long time ago.
Move to approve with staff comments.
Motion from Amy to approve. Do we have a second?
Second?
Second from Miranda. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 2 on final plats is Pinto Place Townhomes, Pinto Drive, owner-developer Sila Smyrna LLC.
Yeah, this is a final plat. This is to dedicate easements and set up the horizontal property regime for the townhomes. On Pinto Place Townhomes is 22 units, 2.14 acres, and that Pinto Place PRD. We had 4 comments left, they're relatively standard comments regarding some signatures and things like that. And so we would want to keep all 4 of those comments, but with those comments, staff would recommend approval.
Recommendation, any comments or questions? Who wants to make a motion on this?
Move to approve with staff comments.
Amy made the motion, is there a second?
Second?
Second with staff comments, any other comments, questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? That one carried. Item 3, Stewart's Landing, has been deferred.
Yeah, we need a
motion on
we need
that?
a motion to defer. They did request deferral to make, we're gonna make a few changes to some of the roads there, so.
Okay, so we need a deferral motion for Stewart's Landing.
I make a motion to defer Stewart's Landing to our next meeting.
All right, from Miranda, we have a second? Second from Amy. Any further discussion? All in favor in deferral, say aye.
Aye.
That passes, it's deferred. Number 4, 6 Cedars Business Park, Phase 1, 889 Seven Oaks Boulevard. Owner developer 6 Cedars Investment LLC.
Yeah, this is a plat to, again, to dedicate easements and to create kind of an HPR situation for the commercial units within this phase of 6 Cedars Business Park. It's about just under 4.5 acres. It's one lot, but with multiple, again, potential business condominiums there in the C2 zone. We had 3 comments that are left. They're very standard comments and would recommend approval with those comments.
I remember this one. Some of you been on the commission a little while will remember this one. Nice looking building. All right. Comments or questions for staff?
A motion to approve with staff comments.
Miranda's all over it with a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second from Amy. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That one carries. Feel like I'm going at warp speed now. Site plans. Number 1, AMS Storage Hangar, 612 Fitzhugh Boulevard. Owner developer Smyrna Rutherford County Airport Authority. Vision Building Group, LLC.
This is a site plan that.
Hi, Mitch. I turned away and your voice changed. I didn't know what happened.
I'm here to slow you down tonight.
Yeah.
So this is a hangar that y'all have seen before. It's came through probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago now. Same site plan as was previously submitted. They're looking at a 5,700 square foot hangar, which is on airport property. This is off of Fitzhugh Boulevard, and it is south of Fire Hall 2. And there's currently grassy area where this hangar is proposed, so it's a brand new hangar in a open space area. Parking required is 6 spaces, and they're showing for those 6 spaces with 1 handicap parking space. Because this hangar is on airport property, traditionally we've been pretty lenient on landscape requirements, so as a result there's no landscaping proposed as part of this development. And the architectural elevations we have received this past week, and they are showing for plans that do mirror what we previously saw of a completely metal building, which is consistent with other hangars shown on airport property. The standard comments 1 through 5 would all remain at this time. We had 1 staff comment to submit those architectural elevations. They have done that, and with that, staff would recommend approval.
Any comments or questions for Mitch? This is pretty typical on the airport property to see more hangars built this way, and landscaping's never been anything that's been required out there, so.
Quite dangerous.
Yeah, they don't want anything growing, do they? All right. Do we have any kind of comment or question, or do we have a motion?
Move to approve the staff comments.
Amy's motion to approve,
Second.
second from Matt. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item number 2 under site plans, Grand Wash Express, 570 Almoville Road, the owner developer, Gran Salki Properties, LLC.
This is another site plan that y'all have seen before. It came through back in January of '23. They did receive site plan BZA approval in October of 2022 for a special exception to allow a car wash in a C2 zone district. So they're all good as far as that's concerned. The track is currently vacant and is abutted by residential property to the west and commercial property to the north, south, and east. The public shopping center is located to the east of this property across from Almonville Road. And like I said, this property was previously approved by a planning commission, and that approval has expired, so they're back seeking reapproval for it to hopefully start construction soon. The square footage for the site, just under 3/4 of an acre, and that does require 3,215 square feet of landscaping. They're showing for 17,225 square feet. Total parking requirement of 11 spaces, and they're showing for a total of 29. Majority of those are vacuum stalls, which are lining Almonville Road to try to keep a good buffer from the vacuums to the residential district to the rear of the site. Handicap parking space, 2 space requirement, and they're showing for 2. The landscape plan shows streetscaping along General Forest Court and Almonville Road. Additional landscaping is shown along the northern and western property line with shrubbery and trees and landscape islands throughout the site. The western property line abuts property zone residential. Some existing vegetation will remain, and gaps between the existing vegetation are shown to be filled with additional shrubbery and trees, which would be consistent with a type C landscape buffer. In addition, they are showing an 8-foot privacy vinyl fence along that western property line to enhance that buffer. Architectural elevations show primary materials of brick and building stone renaissance, which has the appearance of a stacked stone look. Staff did receive revised elevations this week that show a stacked stone appearance. Previous elevations we had showed what appeared to be more of a facade that would be similar with a split face block look. This material allows them to provide different styles of facades, and they have picked more of a stacked stone appearance, so staff feels more comfortable with it at this time. And with that, as submitted for these elevations, staff feels it is in line with our design review, and we are comfortable with it at this time. Standard comments 1 through 5 would all remain. Comment 5 is a little tidbit on there. We asked them to require dedication of 40-foot right-of-way on Almonville Road. That is currently shown at this time, so we can remove that second sentence of comment number 5. Staff comment 1 is a utility comment. We'll let that comment remain, let the utilities department see if that's been addressed accordingly. Comment 2 is regarding the building material that they showed for the Aircraft Renaissance product. So comment 2 has been addressed sufficiently and can be removed. Comment number 3 is a utilities department comment, and we'll, just like comment number 1, let them see if that's been addressed accordingly, and so that comment will remain. And then comment number 4, we just asked them to submit some architectural elevations and landscape plans in hard copy format for our files, and they haven't done that. So with that, comments 2 and 4 can be removed, and staff would recommend approval.
Questions for Mitch?
Are there vacuum?
Yes, they're on the front of the property along Almonville Road.
And BZA was fine with this?
Correct, yep. And a lot of discussion was had previously between BZA and planning last time it came through with regards to the noise and creating a nice buffer between residents and this commercial development.
And this was previously approved, it just expired.
Correct, and they're hoping to get started here soon, so back at it.
Questions for Mitch? Any comments for staff? All right, you've heard their recommendation. Do we have a motion?
A motion to approve with staff comments.
A motion from Miranda to approve the staff comments. We have a second?
Second.
Second from Matt. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. ordinance amendment sounds like a long one, is it?
Should be.
Good.
There's two separate things. There's subdivision regulations amendments and the zoning ordinance amendments. There's two separate changes, but it's basically the same thing. It's just because they regulate two different things, it's two different issues. Essentially, both of these are to change our submittal deadlines. They're in our regs as well as in our zoning ordinance with regards to what gets submitted to you all for review. It would basically move our deadline. Right now, it's 17 days prior to your meeting. We have asked to add a week to that to give us 24 days, to give us more time to review. I have looked around, and most of the communities around us are 4 weeks, 6 weeks, some even 8 weeks. I don't think we need that long, but I do think we need more time than 17 days. And it's not just because everybody else is doing it, it's just to give us more time, as well as we are endeavoring, and you saw the results of that somewhat tonight, we are endeavoring to be sure that we make the neighbors, when you have rezonings or annexations, to notify them before your meeting, because there were some accusations made that we tried to keep things hidden and those kind of things from some folks on some previous requests, and we don't, but to go above and beyond that, that we aren't trying to keep things hidden. We're trying to let everybody know, having time to do that it's a tight window with 17 days, because we always wait until after that second staff review to even make those notifications, just because sometimes things don't come to your agenda. They withdraw and they wait a month or 2 months sometimes or longer. And so we want to wait till that point to actually notify everybody. We won't tell people to come to a meeting that the item is even on the agenda, you know. So anyway, we want to, if we have a little more time to review, as well as more time to make all those, to find out all the addresses we need to send to and all those kind of things, put signs up, all those things. And so it will also, in reality, will help the folks that are applying to you, because it will give them more time to make revisions as well. Essentially, it would, again, the subdivision regulations, what we would ask for you to do tonight on that is, it's 3 different sections, but it's all the same change of making that for sketch plats, preliminary plats, and final plats to go from 17 days to 24. For that, really, is just to give you all to give a head nod, and then we would put that on your agenda next month, because we do have to have a public hearing on that at this level only. That's not something that goes to council. Put that on the agenda for July with a public hearing. And then the zoning ordinance, we would ask you to make a recommendation. There's one little thing in addition to that, in addition to the 17 days to 24 change with that one. We also have it within our ordinance that for rezonings, that there's a 15-day, there's a notice put in the newspaper for 15 days prior to the public hearing. State law has changed, and it's
21 now?
It's now 21, and so I want to put that, so I want to clean that up as well with this. It's at the same time, the 21-day notice versus 15 days, and then giving us, again, that extra 7 days. So, and with the changes in state law with regards to what we have to do on the annexation notices, that doesn't, my initial thoughts when I first saw the bill with the 21-day notice before the first hearing, I was concerned we were going to have to do 21 days before you all even hear it, which we were going to move our deadlines way back, like several weeks, in order to provide that. It's actually just the public hearing, though. It's not this meeting. So we're already, if we send letters before your meeting, we're kind of over exceeding what the state law requirement is there. We're probably still not going to put, we're required now to put larger, bigger, taller signs and all that kind of stuff. We're probably still going to wait till after it passes council on first reading to do that, because we have to, the sign has to have the date of the public hearing on it, and we're going to make changes to the signs, and I don't want to do that till we know for sure the public hearings can actually occur. So, having said that, yeah, that's a lot of explanation, but essentially, again, on the subregs, we'll put that on, if you all are okay with that, we can put that on the agenda with a public hearing and to actually vote and adopt it at your next meeting in July. But would ask you to make a recommendation to council to amend the zoning ordinance, which is Article 3, Section 3.120, and then Article 7 as well, with regards to that, to make us consistent with our state law now, 21 days versus 15 days. So,
Well, first let me say to the staff back there, it's been busy. We see our packages and they're pretty full, so we know you guys have your plates full back there. We had a meeting yesterday where we discussed some things that we're going to ask the staff to do, and Kevin's eyebrows went, but he's willing to do it, and Mitch is too, and your whole staff back there. We just appreciate all that you guys do back there to try to make things work in a timely manner. I think it's nothing but expected to add a little time to your need to get things done, and also to allow people to prepare to be here for those meetings and schedule them further in advance. The submittal times make sense to me.
24 days sounds pretty fast.
They're fast, but as any community around us, I mean, Davidson, Rutherford, Wilson, Williamson, anywhere you look, Middle Tennessee, we are not the only ones growing. This is everywhere in Tennessee. People have figured out Tennessee's a deal. They like it here, and they've come here for that, and we've made it pretty attractive. So Smyrna's just one of those many communities that's growing, trying to do it obviously correctly. The meeting we had yesterday, we talked about some things that we need to look at from a zoning perspective and density perspective, and we did all that yesterday. We've asked the staff to begin to look at that and bring us some ideas and recommendations based on what other communities probably are challenged with and what they're trying to do too. And so we do have projects sort of in the works right now that we want to get those to fruition, but we want to give some timeline for that and then get to the point where we can begin to make some ordinance changes to allow people some time to adjust to that. So we've put a lot on them. The council's put a lot on them, and we just appreciate the fact that you and Mr. Peach over there, he's wearing 6 or 8 hats right now, and he's doing it. Look how calm he looks. So thank you all for that, and I certainly don't have a problem with adding some days to that need.
and just from an implementation standpoint, just from a timing, it wouldn't be approved in theory till July. It would really be kind of that September planning commission meeting for August submittals is really where that would actually come into play. So there would be and obviously if this is approved, and we'll start putting the word out to the folks that we deal with.
Do you
on a
need any
regular
action
basis.
from us, or just a head nod?
On the subdivision
ordinances you
regulations,
do, right?
On the subdivision regulations, we don't need, we'll just go, with everyone's okay, we'll go ahead and put that on the agenda for next planning commission with the public hearing, advertise the public hearing and all that. The zoning ordinance changed to Article 3 and 7, we would need a recommendation to council. on
Okay.
that.
So we need to take a motion on that.
Do they need to be separate motions, or can they be one motion?
Make one.
Just
For
one,
the
I
zoning,
think,
on
yeah.
the zoning ordinance, it'd just be one motion.
Yeah. Do we have a motion for that?
I don't know how to say it, I don't mind moving it. Move to approve.
That's all you have to say?
All right, I move to approve. As long as I don't have to say anything
Do we have a
else, I move to
second?
approve.
Second from Miranda. Any more discussion on it?
Yes, sir. As a former city manager, I have a great appreciation for what goes into what they do. I don't know how in the world they do it in 17 days.
Or 24.
I don't know how in the world they're going to do it in 24 days. So I guess what I wanted to throw out is, why are we not thinking about 30 days? Or alternately, some cities I've worked with, the timing's different based on the size of the application. So if you have a big application, obviously it's much more complex. You get more time to review it. But I mean, 24 is just still minimal when you
Well-
think about everything that not only planning, but all the other city departments do.
Yeah, and I think that's the request of that department. One of the things that came up yesterday too, no promises as of yet, but one of the things came up about their staff needs back there, and we're going to look into that, so.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so we're working on that. I appreciate your heart, though, I really do. All right. Did we get that?
We have a motion.
We got the motion to second.
We have a motion to second.
All right. Any other comments? Thank you, Charles. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Are we at the bond review?
We are.
Hallelujah.
And it's
It's a long one.
it's not, well, it's short compared to what we've had the last couple of months, actually. And we've got some that are moving forward and have made some progress, which is good. The first one, Buckingham Place, Section 3, they have still some things to clean up there, but they have finally got the streets all paved out there and everything. So we can reduce that to $10,000 and begin that one-year maintenance period. Shorts Crossing Phase 2 is one we've only had for a year. They're only about 20% built out there, so they said they wouldn't be completed until probably next year, so we would recommend a one-year extension on that one. Saddle Grove, and I'll hit both, Saddle Grove and Stewart's Glen both, it's the same developer on both of those. We've had the bonds for the exact same length of time there, 1 year on both of those. Saddle Grove's a little bit closer to being built out than Stewart's Glen. They did request an extension. I'm okay with a one-year extension on both of those since we've only had them a year, so would recommend that. The Derby Run, Phase 1A and 1B, that one's, we have had that one a couple of years to talk to that developer. He did indicate they plan to kind of put the paving down later this year when they put the binder down for a future phase. And so they did ask to be extended until the end of the year. I did recommend a 6-month extension, which would essentially be January. So would recommend that on that one. And then Stewart's Creek Cottages, this is one we've had about 2.5 years now. They did, their intent is to kind of finish this up, hopefully finish it up in June and July. Did recommend a 6-month extension just to give them some time to get that finished up. So that is the report.
We got through that pretty well. All right, we need a motion to approve or not the bond review report.
Move to approve.
Amy's already got it. How about a second?
Second.
Matt jumped you, I think. So
did.
we'll give it to
Hey,
Matt.
Matt.
All right. Any further discussion on the bond review? Motion carries. Staff comments, anybody? Staff comments? Mitch, you good? Catherine, you got anything you want to say? You're awfully quiet over there tonight. You just had your little toaster buzzer. That's all you had. Kevin?
The only thing I just would have mentioned the thoroughfare plan and bike ped plan updates. We are, it is on council agenda for next week to hire a consulting firm to get that started. So hopefully in the next few months, we'll start getting some open meetings and some stakeholder meetings, some different things that this commission would certainly be involved in and invited to. So just want to update on that. And that's all I've got.
Counselor? Nothing from you. Anybody else have anything they need to throw in?
No.
I do want to wish our chairman happy healing. He had knee surgery. That's why I'm filling in this chair tonight. I think he'll be back for the next go-around next month. Make a note on your calendars, please, that the meeting date is July 2nd and not the 4th, which is the Thursday. Yeah. So grab your calendars, if you will, and put that in there because you'll get your packet and you go, oh, no, I've already booked myself, right?
Yeah, we won't be meeting the 4th of July. It'll be
Yeah.
on the 2nd.
All right. If that's all we have, this meeting is adjourned.